So generally, if you get a tree that you want to develop a frame, depending also on the type of rootstock you have, if you have a dwarf one or half standard or standard. So you want to shape it, then you could try to bring the branches down.
Tie them down.
Yeah.
Either tie them down or have some flower pots with a bit of concrete in, and weight, just to keep them down, that you develop a frame, a cross frame ideally, right? That you have your, that would be a first layer down, and then you would try to have another layer down. And you try to work on these branches.
And the leader then
we'll
say...
We'll do that, Michael. I'll just go and get
just something. Yeah.
The main leader then, how would you take that out?
No, not. It's maybe a bit too early. You would take the idea about taking the main leader out is to get as much light as possible into the tree, that you get good fruit development.
Yeah.
But what I would do here would be just shorten it at the moment.
I'll take that cutting off you, please. We're not going to let that
You're
go away.
on the ball.
I didn't try him, wasn't I?
Until at least for a season, you will see that the branches will be forming, right, and they will stay then in that direction. So, and then you will also try to lead them with the buds going outwards, so that the next shoot is facing that direction. It doesn't always work like that, but you can try.
Downwards and outwards.
Yeah. What variety is it, Brian?
Peach Melba.
Peach Melba.
It's an Irish
tree,
despite the name, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't get. Why are you cutting off the
You want to create a shape for the tree, right? So you want to have ideally 3 crosses. So you try to develop them.
I get that, but why are you cutting it?
Oh, right. So it's these are the new shoots. You try to take 1/3 of the new growth off in order to encourage fruit spurs for the next season, right? So and there's also something in the tree which is called the equilibrium of the what is it called? The sap in the tree flowing. You try to keep that too.
Okay. Because otherwise it would go too much out, and it doesn't.
Not necessarily. It depends. You have also tip bearers, which will be always growing out, which I think is a disaster.
So when did you plant that tree? This autumn, or?
This one was planted the year before last, and it should really have been pruned last year, but we decided to wait till now.
Now this one, for example, it might be just.
Well, hold on. So there's that's a flowering bud, isn't it?
It is.
I know, but this is a situation where you have to sacrifice.
You have
because there is a flowering bud there, but it's too low of a branch.
It's not only too low. With the wind, it will rot. It will get damaged, and it will be an entrance point for disease. So now this one it's the same. There would be a fruit spur. It's just too low for the shaping. You will be running into problems with your lawnmower or whatever. It's sorry.
So ideally, you start at producing branches at, like, let's say the height of your hip or something?
Not necessary. It's just you try to create a shape.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Right? So you will. That's why we will try to keep the leader still. You know, there. That will happen from time to time. So what do you do here? So you can either decide to keep that outward branch, which I think we do that, and then shorten it. This sub-equilibrium is something like that you have this one, it's roughly similar height. So I think that the question is, there you have a fruit spur. So there might be the first apple on. Do you want to cut that? No, but we shorten that. The question is, get that one out.
There was fruit on it last year. You know, these aren't great. I'd be putting heavier logs or stones.
Yeah,
there,
it's just to
demo.
to get an idea.
Yeah.
And
so this is.
You're going to do
yeah,
that
it
one?
would be. Yeah, you do that one.
Okay.
But I would also do that one because you have this one's offerings themselves as a nice starting point.
What you're trying to do, correct me now if I'm wrong, Michael, is you're trying to create.
I'm not sure. What about the central leader, but what you want to do is you kind of want to create
Tulips shape.
a kind of
A bowl,
a parabola, like a bowl facing the sun, with maybe 5 or 6 main branches. And any branches that we look at the more mature trees, but any branches that come up in the middle should be pruned away each either to kind of maintain that shape. So there's plenty of sun getting in and there's plenty of air.
Because at the end it's the sun which will form your the ripening of your fruit. As much sun as you can get into it, it helps to ripen the fruit. And also, if the sun is also basically tickling the fruit spurring burrs, especially if the branches are tied down a bit, so that helps also to produce the fruit spurs. Yeah,
and it's going up the way I reckon it's timber, isn't it?
Pardon?
And it's going up the way as timber.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it?
And that is lying down that way as fruit, isn't it really?
Yes, roughly.
Horizontal, whatever you call it, vertical horizontal.
Yes. That's the hope.
Yeah, that's the hope. Yeah, but I believe no two men can agree on the pruning of a tree, I believe.
Yes.
Can two women?
Yeah, you see, we could have a bigger discussions about the leader, but if that leader is taken out now here,
I would have been tempted to take out the leader.
And I would as well.
right?
Really? Yeah. Because
okay.
then you'd have those two going down.
I don't think you should.
But you immediately.
For different reasons, because of this is real hard to mow around then, so that would be
but what will happen if you take that leader out? You will have water shoots coming.
Yes.
And the tree always has a tendency to produce a new leader.
Yes.
So even if you get this one's down, you want it out.
Well, I think so.
No.
But then you've got the parabola. Well, all it's going to do is go taller and taller and taller in the middle.
Would you tie? Is that going? That's not going to be tied down, no?
No, although it's a question if this ones would be giving you the shape. You know that you have you could say you have your maybe second cross of the tree. Now the thing is to observe over time. If you take the leader out, the tree will try to produce a new leader.
Yeah.
It might produce a mighty water shoot for the next season, but do you want it out?
No, it's just interesting that people know it have different. You'd be doing. There's no exact right or wrong.
Does not depend on how high you want to let the tree grow.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
That leader as it is now will put out some side shoots.
Yes.
Because you put the top off.
he should. He might produce some spurs.
You've taken the top off, haven't you?
Yeah.
And if we cut that there, would the tree just maintain this kind of height, or is all this going to grow up? Like, is that branch going to?
Yeah, that's
climb
what.
up the
Yeah,
stem?
that you will get most like now.
No, I mean,
is
that fixed in height forever?
Yes.
It
Yeah.
is.
Yes, basically. Yes. And you have basically and I would even try to get it a bit further out, to get it a bit further down, but it does. So it's just to. So it's nearly like your Spalier,
Yeah.
right? It's the same principle.
Okay.
That you try to form your a leading branch, and then you hope to get the fruit spurs on it, so it will go out and out here. So you try to create the form.
Yeah.
So that one and that one. So
Yeah, I'd be taking it out then, because then
Okay.
I tell you why I'm going to take it out is because I want to try and have a small tree that I don't want to have to reach.
right. What is it? What is it? A dwarf rootstock?
See ya. Have a great day. Have a great day. How's your name?
MM106.
No, that's a strong one, isn't it? Big one. That's a big one, yeah. So I'd be, but I'd be pruning it. I'd just be pruning a lot then.
Right. Yeah.
It'd just be hard pruning a lot, yeah.
And actually it would go that way,
See ya.
no? Like
You try to shape it. If you look closer, you have the butts on the branches should come out. Of course, you have the east-west main direction, so you have that would be south. South would be a bit further there.
Okay.
so you almost would want to have a third one that way, no?
Yeah, you try to create a frame, right? That if you can see that we have basically already one layer, the second layer, and here would be the third layer.
Yeah.
And that's enough then for a tree that size.
It should be.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's nearly like leaving trusses on tomato plants.
Yes. It's nearly with all the fruiting has a similar system.
Yeah.
So
And there'll be another one going there. So
yeah,
well,
you have this and
No, this is fine.
More or less the same approach. It doesn't matter what the rootstock is. So if this was an
Yes.
M9
yes,
would be
yes.
more or less the same.
Otherwise,
we'll use them.
yeah.
And then the last one's going to go.
But you definitely will have a strong water shoot coming.
Definitely, yeah.
So
Yeah. Oh, there's plenty of examples of that as well.
And then each year, Michael, these lateral growing branches, which are going to be the main
Frame of the tree, hopefully they're going to produce
yes,
spurs. And but one thing that I've kind of noticed over the years is that if you don't keep these main lateral branches in check, if you don't prune them by a third every year, they end up becoming just long and spindly and weak. And we'll see that on another tree. So you got to, because you've cut on last year's growth, that's going to produce. It's just going to continue on.
it will, but it also at the same time it will through the bending down. It also gives an impulse that the tree will produce spurs on the branches.
Yeah.
So that's the same as on the Spalier, that you lead it further out and then cut it down, that you have the spur formation.
Yeah.
For next season.
For next season, ideally,
not this year.
but then some trees are biennials, which is, that means they only fruit every second year,
Yeah.
unfortunately. So,
Or they only fruit heavily every second year.
yeah.
So for this
So-
one, what is...
Just one other thing I'd point out then is that so these will keep growing outward, and if you don't prune them, they'll just become really long, thin branches that won't support any fruit.
Yeah.
So you prune them back so that you start getting thick, supporting branches. And the reason this split like that is because that was cut on 2-year-old wood. So if you prune on 2-year-old wood like we did here, then it's called a stop cut, isn't it? But it doesn't actually stop the tree from growing. It just means it stops the branch from leading on. But what you will get is you'll get other branches coming out. Like Michael said, these water shoots will come out, sometimes 2 and sometimes 3. So the main pruning happens really, the main sort of pruning that you have to really think about, I think, happens when the tree is young.
Yeah.
Like once the tree is mature, well, there's not a whole lot you can do except you want to keep the height down, and we look at some mature trees, and you're not too concerned about the shape at that stage. Okay.
Season-wise,
We just look at this other. Yeah.
when is the best time for pruning plums and apples? In the autumn or in the spring or January or February?
There's even the idea summer cutting, summer pruning from August when the fruit is on.
Yeah.
That's a possibility, but no, the tradition was basically from the November until February.
Yeah.
Because
when it's dormant.
When it's dormant, because now we are first, second week in February, the sap already starts to rise, and you could basically create a wound which can become a problem, an entrance point for fungus.
Yeah, but I would not prune now. I wouldn't not. If you have to prune, you've got to prune. And in the summer, if you see a branch that's crossing another branch, you prune it out. You can prune in the summer.
Yes.
In the summer, the branches will all be leafed up, so you'll be able to actually see where the light is falling. And if you see that a big branch in the middle is sort of preventing one half of the tree from receiving light, then you can prune that out. Summer pruning. Can we just look at this one here, Michael, and then we'll move on to more mature trees. So this is it's actually 2 years old, but we're going to pretend it's a 1-year-old whip, because that's what you're going to have after next year, isn't it? With the grafted tree, you'll probably end up with after this year's growth, hopefully you will end up with a tree about this high. Whip.
Yes, yeah.
When it moves on in the following year, like to have a couple of branches, it's called a feathered maiden.
And that's what you try to encourage. The feathering is by reducing the growth, the center growth of your shoot it by 1/3. And that what it shall do is hopefully produce some fruit spurs, like here is one. So what is the plan here?
That's what I was going to ask you, really. I would be tempted. I would be tempted to actually to cut that there, and there's a bud there, in the hope that it will grow a branch out that way, and I'll have 3 main branches. That's what I would hope to do. To be honest, we left it too late. We possibly left it too late. But just thinking of it for the purpose of of this course, like the purpose of a 1-year whip, like you do a top cut, so that you produce these feathers.
Yes.
So if you don't do a top cut, you're going to end up with a tree like this the following year. That's in 2023, which is just one dominant branch, which is racing up towards the sky, and you have no side shoots to create your branches.
It's difficult to create a frame.
You did that when we did that the last time.
Did I?
Yeah, it recovered
It's the frost. It's the frost.
So you have tape, so we'll tape it.
I would be tempted to prune it off below those 2 branches.
Would you go
and
here?
Just let it send out 3 or 4 main branches.
Yeah.
Because it's a bit high anyway down there.
Yeah.
It's a bit one-sided, and we have to correct that one-sidedness.
Another option I was thinking was actually to
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
was actually it's a nice variety. But if I wasn't happy with the variety, for example, you could actually cut it and graft into the bark with some cleft. You could graft more than one variety.
Yeah.
But next year, in 2023, when these grafted trees are this high, you have to top cut.
Yes.
To encourage
the side shoots.
Yeah.
That you get a frame, something in that direction what we have on the first tree.
Yeah.
Okay. Bearing fruit tree. It's got. You can see that it's got. Well, there's sort of 5 main trusses I could see there, and then you've got all these spurs, which are getting a bit old now, and because they're also shaded by these other trees. And there's not a whole lot of pruning to do on this tree, because the shape is formed. You just try and keep these spurs in check. You can see there's some in the middle there. They'll take all of them out.
There's only one question: is would you be tempted to take the chainsaw and take that one out? But it could create havoc too. So if that one comes out, you have that you're open.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe. Like I've taken off. It's amazing with apple trees. Like I wouldn't be afraid of doing it anymore. I could possibly take that out.
But that would be the only one I would take out.
Really,
right?
that one there. Yeah. Like I have taken off huge limbs. Like if behind Monica there, there.
And there's a big one.
And probably on this one as well, thinking that I was going completely crazy, like, you know. But then we just keep getting more and more fruit. But yeah, maybe I would do that. But the ones I wanted to show you were the ones in here, though. These like these ones here, these spurs have all started to send up water shoots because they're not getting enough sun, to be honest. So I want to take all of them out because otherwise they're going to clog up the middle. Exactly. Am I right there? And you can see I'm not really I'm not worrying too much about. And notice that you said it as well, Michael. Well, we'll use these cuttings to practice our grafts. I'm not really worried about whether I'm cutting at or above a bud, because you can see that in the position that I'm in and with my eyesight as it is, the age that I am, that would be too much, like, you know.
So you have to do that way high up,
yeah, exactly. And I have a telescopic pruner. But on a young tree, on next year's tree, you might give consideration to the bud. I'll just show you that. The buds go around the tree in a spiral shape, and you should cut with a slant away from the bud. You should, so you can't really see that. You don't. Yeah. So the branch will grow in the direction of the bud that you cut. So if you wanted this, if you were cutting a feathered maiden, say, and you wanted the branch to go out that way, the first one, you would cut it at that bud that's facing that way, and slanting away from the bud. If you slant towards the bud, that's not good because the water will just sort of, isn't it? Yeah, and you don't want to be too close to it.
You leave dead bits above the bud if you're not careful.
There you go. Yeah.
It tends to grow the direction the side the bud's on, but it doesn't always make a lot of difference.
Yeah.
Depends on the variety.
It has its own little mind.
Yeah. It encourages it.
Yeah. These big ones, I haven't thought about them yet, but I have a telescopic pruner. You can see up the top that you can see where I mentioned earlier these stop cuts, and then they've sent out 3. So that's where I cut on 2-year-old wood. But there's nothing I could do because we can't let them grow any bigger. So I'm going to go around with the telescopic pruner and just basically.
But you didn't plant them originally, did you?
Oh yeah.
Did you?
Yeah.
Or were they special rootstock now, or were they? White stock.
I can't remember. I wasn't really.
But they are half standard.
But I'd say they were.
They might be standard.
Tell me quick, aren't they?
20 years. Well, they're 20 years, like.
Yeah, but still a serious growth, isn't it?
Yeah. Okay.
To me, it's serious height altogether. Huh?
I thought they were 50 years.
Yeah, so is I. Yeah.
But why do we want to keep the fruit low? Is that just so that it's easier to pick, or what?
Yeah, easier to pick. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the main reason.
Yeah.
But is it more productive as well? Like if you keep cutting back in that way, do you get more fruit?
If you,
I think, I don't know.
Yeah.
Don't know. I'm not sure.
If you
it
watch,
can be depending on how you prune, maybe. I don't know, or when you.
I suppose you could ask, why we prune as well. And the reason we prune is because apple trees are domesticated. Like they wouldn't survive very well. They co-evolve with us. Mike would be able to say something.
The wild apples would be normally small. So our cultivated apples are bigger size to really big sizes. The question is on the total mass of fruit, if you have plenty of small fruit, it might be equally to smaller amounts of big fruit, but our tastes and whatever visual appearance seem to go for the bigger ones.
Yeah.
So
if you get old trees that have hardly ever been pruned, they have lots and lots of tiny apples.
Yeah, it's a payoff to. You have loads of small fruit, or you go for some more eye-appealing, bigger fruit. But then it's also with the pruning, you bring it closer down to you for easier picking, and that the bigger fruit most likely has more exposure to the sun, that it will be also that bit sweeter. So.
And you also let air and light in by pruning.
Yeah.
But I see a neighbour of mine had a nice apple tree, and he died. And a year afterwards, the wife decided that she was going to prune the apple tree. I went down to have a look at the tree, and I couldn't get one cutting off it. There was not many fruit buds. Wow. And then she took a couple of branches out and threw out a pile of shoots like this out of it. She woke up the tree really from a slumber. There's not any fruit or no prune to be done on it. You could see nothing to cut on it. And then once she cut out a couple of branches out of it, the thing woke up and had turned shoots in all directions.
Wow.
Should it have been touched at all? To get me, if you have a tree with all fruit buds, I wouldn't think you should.
Yeah.
Maybe leave best alone. There's only a small tree, it's only half the height of that.
Yeah, it's just, it's this, do you want good, nice, eye-appealing, big fruit?
Yeah.
Or if you make just juice, plenty of small fruit does no harm. And you will most likely have an equilibrium of fruit mass.
It's like the grape, we'll say, if you see big grapes and little grapes, I'd always go for the small one. Because they're usually sweeter than the big one. It's forced with fertilizer and what have you. It's in the sweet.
It can be,
yeah. The small one often is nicer.
And then behind you here, I know it's not against a wall, but it's against the chicken one. But what I was trying to do here was just a Spalier pear. And you can see that it's kind of worked. It would have worked better if it was against a wall. But you can see now that the spurs are producing some nice blossoms there, which will be out in a week or two. So I'm gonna like keep with that and just put cut the spurs back. These are all water shoots that came up. And we can probably use these to practice, Monica.
Yeah, they might be good.
Yeah. Yeah.
What would you use?
These just to
practice our cuts.
Cuts and all.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you left them, would you produce fruit, or would you be able to support anything?
No, they were just leaves, Mary, and
They'll be just leaves next year, but they will eventually produce. They will eventually. Sorry, Mary. They will.
You need a little stool.
Yeah, I do. I'm knocking off buds.
just slightly too high.
Maybe I'm going to get a. That's probably not that big. Anyway, you get the idea.
Yeah.
Anyway, you get the idea. Right. So I mean, one of the reasons this tree is doing this so vigorously as well, of course, is because this apple tree here is blocking the light onto it. So it wasn't a great, position to place it, but you have to work with your place. If there weren't hens in here, would have put it against those two walls and used those two walls.
Do you get some fruit off the Brian?
Yeah, there is fruit. Yeah, there is fruit. Yeah, you can see there's plenty of blossom coming. So, okay. It's an example of a tree that wasn't pruned well, wasn't positioned well, unfortunately, because it's too shaded and it wasn't pruned well. So this is although it does produce a lot of fruit, and I support the branches. It's a piece good non-such. You can see that there's quite a few spurs developing. But if you don't keep on top of pruning these main branches that you have, see, this is what happens. They become these long, thin branches. It's not too bad. But when that bears fruit,
go down to the
it's going to be going down like that, because the branches just aren't strong enough to support it.
So could you cut it now? Yeah, would you take the decision to cut them right back? Is that a crack on one of the...
Yeah, there's a bit of problems. There's a problem here that it will be, the two branches there will be rubbing. It's difficult. Maybe even the post will not do much for the tree anymore, I think.
No.
Maybe in order to avoid the... Would you cut it here, basically? You have new fruit branches building here. So just shorten it inwards would be a possibility.
Yeah.
But I mean, as you say, the problem is basically that he will have to stretch because he's going for the light.
Yes. Yeah. So, yeah. About that tree, if that was put there, but it's only going to do the same thing.
Yes, it will. You will not change the predicament that it always will reach out for the light.
Yeah, the other trees are affecting it here. That's why the driveway.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to show it to you. Yeah. It's because it went in.
It's long up here at the back now as well.
It kind of went in after.
Yeah.
But anyway.
We learn by mistakes, don't we?
Yeah, well, there's... Well, to finish this little tour, I'll show you some successes. There's a fig tree here. So this is a fig tree, and it does produce a lot of figs. So it's definitely possible, again, by capitalizing on whatever wall space you have. But I have seen freestanding fig trees in Ireland as well, producing fruits.
I have two, actually, freestanding.
Okay, yeah.
They say that they fruit twice a year.
Yeah.
I get it from Dublin.
Okay.
Or not from Dublin, but they don't. But you do get one really magnificent crop from it.
Yeah. Yeah, they figs fruit year round in warmer countries, but in this country, this is the second crop from last year.
Yeah, but
it never comes to anything.
They'll shed those.
They will, yeah, no, they will, or I'll knock them off like that.
Mine are the same. Mine have already shed theirs.
Yeah, because they're just dry. They're not gonna. It's the little fruits in embryo there that are gonna produce.
It's quite different if you go indoors.
Yeah. Is it? Yeah.
Yeah, you get your main crop in July and August.
Did you put it in a container?
No, August, September.
Right. In a container, in the ground, you mean?
Yeah.
To confine the roots? No.
No. Okay.
It actually was in the tunnel.
Yeah. They recommend that you confine the roots, and you get a better fruit crop from grape if the root is confined, that it can't go wild.
Right, yeah.
It's contained.
Doesn't grow.
How large would you contain? Like, because once
you could contain it within the ground by using slates or something like that.
Okay.
So they can't keep
a meter or something.
I use a drum out of an old washing machine.
Somewhere
Okay,
all
over that little.
Oh yeah, okay. Well, it's not too late to do that, yeah.
No, but they still produce beautiful.
Yeah,
you can just occasionally do a bit.
That's really healthy looking at the bark on it, isn't it?
Yeah.
You could occasionally do root pruning, like one side at a time, sort of thing, just dig down a fruit.
But is it worthwhile that effort?
I don't know.
Do you prune that the same as an apple?
I just prune it for shape as much as I can. Just so you can see, I'm trying to have individual branches going up the wall. I have some crossing here, but they're okay. It was just an experiment really, but it is great, very successful. Like, we got incredible figs, yeah. But yeah, they're not, the figs you see there are the second crop that won't come to fruition because of the climate here, so they'll fall off, and then...
They're not ripen in early summer, no?
Oh yeah, but they're not these ones.
No, I mean those ones. Would they not, though?
No, they're dried out.
Yeah,
they're dry.
Yeah.
It's very easy to take cuttings and just stick them down and they would grow.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, very
easy.
Okay, and the last tree then is...
And also branches go down, touch the ground, and then grow roots.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. And it sends up... They send up loads of water shoots from here every year. Just try and keep that in check. And so the last tree it's a plum. It's a mirabelle, a yellow plum. And again, just fan training it. It's on a very strong rootstock, so it's quite hard to keep it in check. But it's a great shape now. I think that's only 5 years old, I believe. Yeah, 5 years old, phenomenal. And but you can see that
how the training is working.
I trained it to get these main branches every 1 to 2 feet, and there's 2 going down the side. And you can see that it's been successful. And these branches, if I hadn't pruned these back to 5 buds, would have, they would have created loads of massive limbs. But in pruning them down to little branches, they have turned into spur bearing. You can see all the little, they're all flower buds coming out now. So what do I mean by that? Is that so if I let that go, it would eventually become a big branch. So I'm just going to keep them short.
So it's a very vigorous animal, isn't it?
Yes, it
very
is.
Hard to tame.
Yes, it is. Yeah, and it will go up another 2 feet this year.
Yeah,
but I'm not going to let it. I'm not going to let it go any higher. But there's loads of spurs, of the fruit-bearing spurs. So it's kind of done now. It's done now in terms of training and framing, and it's just a matter of trying to keep it in check.
So it's now time to enjoy the fruits of your labor.
Okay.